So we are going to start off by making the magic ring, and to do that we're going to leave a long tail at the start, and then we are going to take our 2 fingers and wrap the yarn around our fingers 2 times, like this. And then with the leftover yarn tail, we're going to take it to our thumb and simply hold it like this. So this is what it should look like. And then we are going to take our hook and we're going to go underneath these 2, drag the working yarn, which is the yarn tail connected, or the yarn just connected to the ball of yarn. Then we are going to drag it underneath these 2 and then twist like this. And then we are going to wrap the yarn around our hook. And to do that, I simply put my hook underneath the working yarn. And that's basically wrapping the yarn. And now I'm going to pull it through like this. And there's our magic ring. So now we are going to do 8 single crochets in the magic ring. So to do a single crochet, we are going to go again underneath these 2. Yarn over by putting your hook underneath the working yarn and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through. So that's 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Go underneath these 2, yarn over, pull, you have 2 loops, 1, 2, wrap your yarn and pull through. So that's 2. Three,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So now that we've done 8, we can remove our fingers. And now we are going to take our thumb and put it in the middle of the hole that we created from the magic ring. And then we are going to, see this? We're going to pull on it downwards, like this. Gently though, because this is plush yarn. So pull on it downwards and see which one of these 2 tightens on your finger. So as you can see, the one on the left is the one that tightened, but that doesn't mean that yours is going to be the one on the left. So that's why you have to make sure. And then now you can take your thumb off and then take the left side, or whichever side tightened for you, and pull on it gently again until you see that the one on the right tightened, which it did. So now to tighten the one on the left, we are going to take our yarn tail that's connected to the magic ring, not the yarn tail or the working yarn. So just pull on it downwards again. And there you go. There's our magic ring. And then I want to put a stitch marker at the end. So I put it at the last stitch that we created. So if you can see, it is this one, the top one. Let me put it inside like this. But if you can't tell which one is the stitch that's closest to your loop, you can simply loosen your loop by just pulling upwards, and then you'll see that it is this one. And then to tighten it, you're just going to pull on your working yarn tail gently, and there you go. So now we are going to start increasing. So to do an increase, we are going to go into the next stitch, or our first stitch. So our first stitch, it might be harder to see with plush yarn, but it is this one, right? So you're going to go in, and you're going to go into both sides. So usually there's like 2 sides. I can try to separate it a bit, but there are 2 sides, right? So there's like the front loop and the back loop. So you're going to go into both. And then you're going to yarn over. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through. So as you noticed, we're doing a single crochet, but an increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So to do that, we are going to go back in that stitch, the same stitch, right? So it's usually, you can see it's here. We went in here before, so we're going to go back in here and yarn over and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. So that's 2 single crochets or 1 increase. So now let's do it again. Next stitch is the one next to it. So go inside, yarn over. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. That's 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Go into the same spot. So that's 2 increases.
3, 4, 5, 6,
7. And then, now that we reached the stitch marker, what are we going to do? So we're going to remove the stitch marker. We are going to do the increase in the stitch that had the stitch marker. So go inside and do the increase like you usually would. And now we are going to put the stitch marker back in the latest stitch that we created. So if you see, which one is it? It is this one right here. So we're going to go and put the stitch marker here. And this indicates that we finished our round. That's where we're going to finish next time. There you go. So now we are going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase all around. So what that means is in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet as you normally would. And then go to another stitch, like a completely different stitch, and do an increase. And now we are going to go and do a single crochet in the next stitch, and then an increase in the next stitch. And so on. So you're going to keep repeating that till you reach the stitch marker. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then go into the next stitch and do 1 increase. And then in the next stitch, do 1 single crochet, and in the next stitch, do 1 increase. 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase. Finally, 1 single crochet, and then we're going to remove the stitch marker again. Now we are going to do an increase in that stitch that had the stitch marker. And then we are going to take our stitch marker and put it again in the latest stitch. So I'm going to put it here. So if you look at it, it's going to be here. And there you go. Now we are going to do 2 single crochets in 2 different stitches and then 1 increase. So go into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet. Go into another stitch and do another single crochet. And then go into the 3rd stitch and do an increase. Again, go into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet. Go into another stitch and do 1 single crochet. Go into another stitch and do 1 increase. And so on. You're just going to repeat that till you reach the end of the stitch marker. And in the stitch marker, or in the stitch that had the stitch marker, we're going to remove the stitch marker and we're going to do the increase in that stitch that had the stitch marker, and then we're going to put it back. So again, I've reached the end of my stitch marker and I'm going to remove the stitch marker. I'm going to do the increase. And now I'm going to put the stitch marker again in the latest stitch. So it is here. And that's it. So now we are going to do 3 single crochets and then 1 increase. So we're going to go in the first stitch and do 1 single crochet. we're going to go into another stitch and do 1 single crochet. We're going to go into another stitch and do 1 single crochet. And then we are going to go into another stitch and do 1 increase. And that's all you're going to do. So repeat that. 1 single crochet in 1 stitch, 1 single crochet in another stitch, 1 single crochet in another stitch, and then 1 increase in another stitch. And keep doing that till you reach the stitch marker, and then remove the stitch marker and do the increase, and then put the stitch marker back. So now for the next 5 rounds, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So we're going to go into each stitch and do 1 single crochet, till you reach the stitch marker, and then you're going to remove the stitch marker and do a single crochet in that stitch that had the stitch marker, and then you're going to put the stitch marker back. So you're going to do that 5 times. You're going to reach the stitch marker 5 times. So I just finished making my 5 rounds of single crochets, and now we are going to start to decrease. So we are going to do first 3 single crochets and then 1 decrease. So we're going to do 3 single crochets in 3 different stitches like we've been doing, like this. And then to do a decrease, we're going to do the invisible decrease. So we're going to go into the front loop of the first stitch. So remember, a stitch has like 2 parts, like I've been trying to say, a front and a back loop. I don't know if I can't really separate them, but like a front loop is the one facing towards you, right? So it's like this part of the stitch that's facing towards us, right? So we're going to go into this one, and then we're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch. So 2 front loops, one of the first stitch and one of the second stitch. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through. So let's do it again. 3 single crochets, and then a decrease. So go into the first front loop of the first stitch. Go into the second front loop of the next stitch. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through the other 2. There you go. So you're going to keep decreasing till you reach the end. Now we are going to do 2 single crochets in 2 different stitches, and then 1 decrease. And that's the pattern you're going to be doing all along. So 2 single crochets, and then a decrease, and so on. And now we are going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 decrease all around. Before we continue, make sure to stuff the head and cut out the felt eyes and the nose and glue them on. So now we are going to embroider the whiskers. So I thread my needle, and now we are going to go from the inside to the outside and poke it wherever we want the whiskers to be. So I'm going to poke it here, and then I'm going to pull on it, and then I'm going to angle it downwards to make the bottom whiskers, and then I'm going to poke it from the outside to the inside like this. And there's our first whisker. And now we are going to repeat the same thing to make the other whiskers. So I'm going to poke it from the inside to the outside, and then I'm going to angle it and make a straight line for the middle whiskers. And then I'm going to poke it from the outside to the inside. There's my second whisker. And now I'm going to finally do the last one. Poke it from the inside, and then angle it upwards, and then poke it from the outside to the inside. And there you go. Now we're going to repeat the same steps to make the other side of the whiskers. So now finally we're going to do 8 decreases around, and then I'm going to show you how to fasten it off and close the hole. So do the 8 decreases and come back. So I made my 8 decreases, and now we are going to fasten off by slip stitching. So to do a slip stitch, go into your next stitch as if you were like making whatever you're doing the next round, and then yarn over and pull through, right? So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you're going to pull through again, and now you should have 1 loop on your hook. And then you're going to cut your yarn and leave a bit of a tail, and then pull through like this. Now to close the hole, we're going to basically thread our needle with the long tail, and now we're going to go into the front loops of each of the stitches, of the 8 stitches. So you simply just go through the top ones. So just go through. Make sure to have stuffed the head, sorry. And then gently pull on it like this too, so the hole closed. Like this. There you go. And then we're going to poke it from the inside and then angle it outwards to secure it like this. And then we're going to go through a couple stitches just to secure it in case it like gets undone. And then you can cut your yarn and hide any remaining tail inside. And there you go, there's our head. So to make the hood, I followed the exact same pattern as the head up until the round where I had to do single crochets for 5 rounds. So you're going to do all the steps till that round, and then you're going to, instead of doing 5 rounds of single crochets, you're going to do 6 rounds of single crochets and then come back. For the next round, we're going to do 3 single crochets and then 1 decrease all around. So before you continue, make sure to put the head in the hood and then continue. So now we are going to do 2 single crochets and then 1 decrease all around. So now you are going to be fastening off by slip stitching again, and then cut your yarn and weave in the end. So to make the ears, I made 6 single crochets in a magic ring, and now I'm going to increase 6 times. So now for the next 2 rounds, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch, and then once you finish the 2 rounds, you're going to fasten off by slip stitching and cut your yarn. Make sure to put safety eyes in the eyes. To make the body, I made 8 single crochets in a magic ring, and now I'm going to increase 8 times. Now I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase all around. Now we are going to do 2 single crochets and then 1 increase. So now for 6 rounds, you're going to do 1 single crochet around each stitch, and then we're going to fasten off once we finish the 6 rounds by slip stitching. And make sure to cut your yarn, leave a long tail, because this is the yarn this is the tail you're going to be using to sew the head onto the body. I made 6 single crochets in a magic ring, and now I'm going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase all around. Now for 1 round, we're going to do 1 single crochet all around. So we're going to start off by making the bow, and to do that, I'm going to make a loop like this on my finger, and then I'm going to flip it like this. And then you see like the yarn in the middle here. You're going to pull on it, and you're going to pull on this one at the same time. This yarn tail. Going to pull on it at the same time. There's your slip knot. Then put it on your loop, on your hook, sorry, and then pull on these 2 yarn. And there you go, there's our slip knot. So now we are going to chain 17. So to chain 1, you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook like this, and then pull through. Wrap your yarn like this and pull through. So that's 2, 3, 4. So now we are going to chain an additional 1, making it 18, because we are going to skip that first chain, and we're going to go from the second chain here and do a single crochet, and then go into the third chain and do another single crochet, and like keep going down and doing 1 single crochet in each stitch So you'll make basically 17 single crochets. So now we are going to chain 1 once we reach the end, and then turn our work like this, and then do another 17 single crochets all along down here. Once you finished again, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work and do another 17 single crochets. Now you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn and leave a very long tail. Now you're going to thread your yarn with the long tail that you left, and we're going to fold it like this, and then we are going to go through wherever you find space, go through the opposite side. So for the first time, you're just going to go through only this part, and then from now on you're going to go through both sides, so this and this, to connect them. And one more like this, and then now you're going to be going through the top, one more actually. Now you're going to go through the top stitches here, like that, and then here, like that, until you reach the middle. Like this. So once your yarn tail is here, that's good. And then now you're going to wrap your yarn around wrap your yarn around the bow and pull on it tightly so that it takes the shape of the bow. And there you go. So to sew the body onto the head, we're going to position it wherever we want, make sure that it's facing you, and then we're going to turn it like this, and then we're going to take a piece from the hood, and then a piece from the body, and then a piece from the hood. Doesn't have to be just one stitch, and then a piece from the body, and so on. You're just going to keep repeating that all around until the head is secured, and then you can hide it wherever. So I'm going to be using the same technique to sew anything else on anywhere. So I'm just going to place my eye wherever I want it. So I want it probably here. So I'm going to pick a stitch, if it can show, pick a stitch from the hood, and then pick a stitch from the ear, and then turn and pick some stitches from the hood, and then pick a stitch from the ear, and then pick more stitches from the hood, and then pick from the ear, and then pick some more from the hood, and pick some more from the ear, and so on. Until it is secure, like this. And yeah, this is the final product. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know down below if you have any requests for any tutorials, and I'll try to respond to as many comments